Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Splinterlands Town Hall. It is February 15th, 2024. We hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day yesterday and, got your special someone some, SPS or some rebellion packs, as I'm sure that's the popular gift this year. Um, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Jumping to a more serious note, um, there is the Soul Keep sale announcement that we published on the blog earlier this morning. We're going to be talking a bunch about the card burn event proposal that went out yesterday. We're going to be talking about the new player experience, the player experience updates. Which includes, upcoming changes to the rank battle system, the, concept of a reward point shop that I think we mentioned last time, one-click set rentals, the new onboarding and like tutorial experience. And we will also provide a land update. So those are kind of the high-level items. Then we'll obviously get to questions from the community. And to get started, as usual, I want to kick it off to Investigator to give an update on the systems and the releases and what we can expect coming out soon.
Good morning, everybody. So since we've gone to a 2-week release cycle, there's going to be a lot to go through. So for gameplay updates, we have another new rule set coming out next Tuesday. I won't go into the details, but I think Nate's going to drop the icon later.
Or
And
here, I could do it now if you want.
up to you.
Might as
I
well.
feel like it's pretty obvious, but we can let people.
No, I don't think people will guess what that is.
In other news, so tech modernization, all of the shop pages will have been moved over to the new client on Tuesday, which is the guild shop page, the license shop page, potion shop page, Rift Watcher packs, skins, and Soulkeep shop pages. Also, if anybody comes back that had outstanding Rift Watchers airdrops, all of those have been moved over. For some new items, there is going to be a new land shop page where you can buy grain or power stones or time crystals all in one place. So you don't have to go to different places if you want to buy those from the game. We also are turning back on the ability to buy blood and power stones using merits, which was per a past proposal. So outside of tech modernization, a lot of updates. We have made some changes to the internal logic for combine all to try to get more optimal combinations of max level cards without it going over, to try to prevent people from accidentally overleveling cards. As a quality of life improvement, we have added the ability to send more than 350 cards at once. It will now batch up multiple transactions, and for however many that you're sending to another account, then you'll just have to approve all those transactions. We have added a display of the potions that are used when opening the seasonal and daily reward chests, similar to opening packs. So if you are using your legendary and alchemy potions towards your rewards, you can now see how many were used when you watch that display. We have made some improvements to the login handling. It will now distinguish better between a connection failure to our servers and an incorrect password, and give you an appropriate error message instead of always telling you that it's an incorrect password. Due to a lack of certain tokens being used, we are going to be removing them from tournament prizes. This is the ST Mini, ST Regular, ST Jumbo, ST Super, which were from Dave McCoy's spring training events. We're also going to be retiring Entry, Sim, and Cine, since none of them have been used in tournaments in many months. A lot of smaller messaging cleanups. We have cleaned up some of the messaging when trying to combine cards into cards staked on to mage wagons. So a lot of the errors will be a little more explicit. We have improved the tournament warnings when the entry fee is a higher USD value than the estimated value of the maximum prize for the tournament. It will give you an explicit message about that. Um, so that may be an indicator that you're too high of a league for the tournament that you're trying to enter, or that someone just put really high cost and small prizes. So we just want to make people a bit more aware. We have added a tooltip on the proposal notification dot since people were confused about what that indicated. That will let you know that a new proposal is available if you hover over it. We have added a variation on the combat results outro music. This was previously only playing on the mobile app. It will now also play on the website. We made some API changes. Balance history is no longer going to accept an offset. It's now going to be using a from date and last update date filters to sort. This is being done for basically technical reasons. It should greatly improve performance when scrolling through currency activity history, and is also going to be much better performance on our end for pulling data from the database. Similarly, we are splitting out claiming your liquid staking rewards. So it's no longer going to be a operation where you try to stake 0 SPS, which it was previously. There's going to be a new claim staking rewards operation. If you try to stake 0 SPS, it will now fail because you can't stake 0 SPS. Though it will still also claim your liquid rewards if you do stake a valid amount. We fixed a minor issue with the conflicts banner overlapping the text on the Relian text on the screen on smaller screens. Fixed an issue where a Chromecast button would appear on some in-game videos on some browsers. And we have fixed an issue with staking Rooney that was introduced in the previous update. So that is most of what's going out Tuesday. There's still a couple items in testing that might get added at the last minute, but it should be a pretty big update. Speaking of updates, we are going to be doing a Thursday update at the end of the month on the 29th. So after the end of season runs, at our usual update time, we are going to be deploying the first phase of the ranked rework. So this is going to be the removal of basically leagues impacting who you're matched with. We're going to be removing the ability to decline advancing leagues. The leaderboards outside of champion are going to be removed because there's not really you can't stay in a league, so you're just going to move up. Let's see, we are altering how the ELO system works. So instead of the current system, it's going to be a simplified +20, -20. Though win streak bonuses will still apply up until you hit champion. So if you go on a win streak, you'll get 40 per match. Let's see, we are extending Novice League out. So Novice League right now is currently at 100 rating you get out of Novice. With the reworked system, it's going to be at 260 rating. But since you're getting 20 per match, it still works out to, you just need 13 wins instead of 10. But that should help with the issue where as soon as you get out of Novice, it's incredibly difficult to get enough points towards a chest. So since it's a higher value, it should be a little bit easier for new players to start earning rewards once they're out of novice. Hopefully, with the removal of the ability to stay in league, people will also not be camping in novice when they shouldn't be, since if they have appropriate cards, they can move camping in bronze when they shouldn't be. If they have appropriate cards and skill, they can easily move up to higher leagues. This will also fix the issue where people that hadn't played in a while and had dropped down to bronze but have a full set of leveled cards get stuck in lower leagues and have a lot of difficulty getting out. So a lot of changes coming. Trying to remember if I'm forgetting any of the points of this. Uh,
Harry, I think your list of changes gets longer and longer every time, every town hall, which is so
yeah,
cool
Yeah, what have you
because
guys been doing? Come on. You guys got to get to work here.
yeah, I didn't write these into the patch notes that I'm reading off of, so I tried to do the next release off of memory. There are a couple other phases to this overall rework of the system. We are going to be introducing, not in the next update at the end of the month, sometime after, a one-click rental system for new players. So players with large collections will be able to put up a set of cards that we are going to define what that set of cards would be. And when a new player signs up, they will be presented with the option, do you want to rent out this recommended new player set of cards for a price? And that way they will have a little bit of a better experience, hopefully, with their starting credits being used for a rental collection that should let them play for a season or two. That's the hope, anyways. We are also going to be looking at reworking the reward system. Uh, that's going to be coming after the league rework itself, but we're still talking about the specifics of that. But that should be coming up hopefully in the next few months. And we have been seeing people's suggestions and ideas on different ways that we can improve how things like soulbound cards work, some of which Matt has talked about in previous town halls and may touch upon again here. But so a lot of updates coming. I'm probably forgetting some stuff, but I think that covers the main points.
Well, if we missed anything, you guys will be able to see it in the release notes after the next release, and then we'll talk to you again in a couple weeks, and we can fill in any holes there. Well, thank you, investigator. If the list continues to get longer and longer, we are going to have to make these town halls longer to accommodate, I think. Um, but before we dig into some of that stuff, I wanted to also kick it over to Nate for the creative corner, and see if he has anything to show for us this week.
no, for sure. I mean, it's it's funny because I'm gonna regret following up Harry more and more because he's just throwing down these bombs like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It's like, wow, it's so cool because we spent so long with the community saying, what's taking so long, and here comes Harry. Well, no, we're rocking and rolling, it seems like. Um, just so on the creative side of things, all the things that Matt mentioned at the beginning, we're working on in parallel, whether it's land or the new player experience and all the other stuff. So let me see let's touch on land a little bit. So I think last time I showed some sketches of well, let me refresh my memory. What did I share? Looks like logging camp sketches and a farm sketches. Let's do quarry and mine this time. So if you guys want to see kind of like what our ideas for what a mine would look like, there's that. Here's a quarry. It's just fun. You guys can kind of see the process at the beginning, like as we conceptualize. Hey, could kind of look like this, kind of look like that. Since I shared with you guys a sketch last week of the logging camp, here's a more rendered version with some color, maybe put into the scenery. So it kind of whet your appetite for what it'll be like to have a building on your land that's not just one of these work sites, and Land 2.0 is so robust and has so much. For those of you guys have read up on the blog articles and been listening to town halls, Land 2.0 is pretty freaking huge. So it's going to be cool to see how land mimics the real world real estate market, right? Where if you put up a plot for sale or whatever, it's not just about oh, this is a common or a rare. It's about, well, what's the neighborhood like? What's the community doing with their salt? How's what kind of house did they build on this thing? Is it structurally sound? You start shaking it a little bit, making sure it sounds right, it looks good. So I think that's going to be cool as we get closer and closer to what we hope land to be, our vision for what land is. It'll be less cookie cutter, and each plot will feel distinctive. And I think part of that comes with the aesthetics of it, right? The not just the environment, but the building that you decide to put on it, and who you put inside, and the interior and what that looks like, and all that. And I think it'd be cool someday to have some sort of cosmetics, right? For that. I mean, we're not planning on that for 2.0 or anything like that, but in the future, I mean, I think people will enjoy being able to customize that kind of stuff someday. So, what else we got? I will say for the player experience, we went from saying UX to new player experience to now the player experience. I'm almost tempted. I'll leave it up to the community. You guys tell me what you think, if this is too cheesy or corny. But in the back of my head, I'm almost like, "Wh- you know, maybe we should have our own distinctive way of explaining the vision for what we want the user experience to be." And to me, I would love to start transitioning to just BMX, kind of like, motocross bikes. Back in the day, growing up, I grew up as an 80s kid. So riding bikes was a more normal thing. Like going outside was something that people did. Um, and I like the idea that battle mage experience BMX. It's not a civilized, very evolved industry that we're in. We're kind of paving the way. There's no paved roads with nice painted lines, and where everyone's kind of like doing turn signals with their arms and stuff. It's very much, we're in the wild west of trying to figure stuff out. And I like the adventurous feel of it. It's not user experience. It's a player. We're taking their money. It's like, nah, battle mage experience. Like, if we use that terminology more often, whether it's in social media or internally as a team, I think that it changes. There's a shift in mentality, right? There's like that we do things differently, we design differently, we implement and develop differently, and you as the players start seeing that bleed into your what you do and how you engage with the game. So I think that'd be kind of cool if you guys don't think that's too corny. um but in line with that, I figured we'd at least share at least one other a little bit of what we're working on. So here is a screenshot, and I promise Matt that in upcoming town halls we'll get more detailed with our demonstrations and prototyping, and kind of roll out what we intend this thing to look like. But the screenshot I'm going to share with you is an example of like a chapter system, a modular system, so that the or the battle mage can see where they're at in the onboarding process, what achievements they've unlocked. Um, I think, let me see, is that even the right professor image? Oh, yeah, it is. Here's another professor, all on his lonesome. Um, but we're working on artwork like this to kind of like breathe life into this experience where you're engaging with an academy and the professors and the adventures, and really feel like you are part of the world as a battle mage. And we'll get more and more into that as time goes by. Um, so I showed a little bit about land, a little bit about the battle mage experience. Uh, Let me see. We only have like about a week till this current rebellion conflict ends. So right now, you guys are hitting up chaos empire supply lines. You're trying to prevent them from, getting these supplies and maybe grabbing those supplies for the upcoming rebellion, right, or the current rebellion. The next conflict is going to take place in a different location in Pretoria. I believe it's the city of Solace, which is actually being governed by one of the summoners. If you guys like your dragon cards, a cane um, is the person. But we're not here to talk about a cane. We're here to talk about another Dracosian. So one of the dragonoid type humanoid characters, which are known as Dracosian, that'll be end up being the main pivotal character for the next conflict, the second conflict. So I'll share that with you here. Here is a let's see. Here's an introduction to the Dracosian known as Kai. Kai is a Dragutsu. Hopefully, Joey, I pronounced that correctly. A knight of the Glordax Empire's Dragon's Guard. So she's a very famous knight in the Glordax Empire. Of course, just like the rest of Pretoria, they've been subjugated by the Chaos Legion, the Empire, and she's looking for revenge. She's looking for a way to fight back. And as the stirrings of the rebellion happen, as you guys as battle mages take part in that with your battle mages and your cards and give a hope to these folks who have been oppressed. It inspires people, and as one conflict leads to the next conflict, you become a part of that story and how these people rise up. And Kai is one of those people. I know it. Matt, do you want me to share the stats as well, or
I guess if I don't know if the stats are finalized though, so maybe
so
I don't know
maybe
if they're finalized or not.
I think they are. I think we have a blog post coming out with more details. Um, but we could always say subject to change. But yeah, as
All
far as
right,
I'm
yeah. I mean,
aware,
I'm open to sharing stuff. I wasn't, if as far as you know, they're pretty much finalized. I think it's good to reward the people who spend the time to listen to the town halls, and
yeah.
you know,
All right. So subjects to change. As far as I'm aware, they're finalized, but there might be some final last minute tweaks in the next week or whatever. We'll see what Call Me Tim says. And here we go. So after Call Me Tim helped design the stats and there was some quality assurance testing, there's a lot of people involved in trying to provide feedback and figuring out, we got Royal Eagle and Lily Fire were a big part of that, and all the internal team members who took part in the testing. Big hats off and thanks to you. Um, Here are the current stats for Kai. And Kai is, um, at first glance, you're like, huh. At second glance, you realize what a beast this she is. Um, and for those of you wondering, that first ability is a new ability. So it's known as hamstring. And every time she hits, the defender, they're going to lose -1 to their melee. So you might recognize the demoralize eyes because it has very similar to demoralize. But instead of just doing a -1 across the board to the enemy team, it's -1 every freaking time she makes a successful hit, bringing which is brutal. That's crazy.
now Nate, is
So
is this how she hits? Does she attack like
Uh,
this?
well, okay. Now let me do a proper demonstration of her swordplay. There you go. So
That's more like it.
yeah, sorry about that. I don't mean to mislead people. So um, but yeah, knowing that she has this new hamstring ability, that's nuts because she has freaking ambush. So before the enemy team even has a chance to do anything, she's already whack. And suddenly, oh, I'm hamstrung. I lost a melee, and then when battle officially starts after that ambush, whack again. From behind the tank, and suddenly the tank is becoming less and less effective on the enemy team. Not to mention the shatter ability. Holy crap! That's scary to those of you using Manaroth or any high shield characters. You got to be careful with if the enemy is using Kai. So I think that'll be If not a major game changer, it is going to be a card that people are going to definitely want. So there you go with that. Um, I think that's probably enough to share. So I'll pass the baton to you, Matt.
All right. Well, thank you as always, Nate. I mean, a lot of this stuff is the first time I'm seeing it as well. So I'm super excited, and I kind of like it that way. Also, I get the experience as a player to this, and it's exciting to see. I also wanted to mention that I know Nate only shared one screenshot of that kind of like onboarding experience. And I know the creative team that they're working on like really putting that whole thing together, and it's just not ready to show yet. But hopefully, in the next town hall in a couple weeks, they'll kind of have a more like interactive thing to show. But that's very exciting to me. Just like how do we bring new players into this game and kind of take them through all the stuff without like a boring just click next through a bunch of tutorial screens. So they're really making it like almost like a PvE experience. um that you can go at your own pace or come back to whenever, even if you've already completed it or you forget something. And um to just make it again a game going through the learning process for the game. So I was really excited when I saw what they were putting together, and I can't wait for it to be at a stage to start sharing it more with you guys.
Yeah.
um
Oh, just to touch on that, a lot of people say, "Hey, why don't you guys use more AI?" And this is a good example of that. We do. We use quite a bit of AI, but it's usually in the conceptualization stage. So we're not going to use AI for the final product if it's something we want to protect legally with our IP. But if we got to rapidly prototype stuff out and we're trying to conceptualize which direction to run artistically or in any other way, then yeah, heck yeah, we use AI, and that's what Matt saw as a full blown demonstration where we kind of like just plugged in AI artwork here and there before we actually did the artwork. We just like try to, hey, is this something? Does this feel right? Does this look right? Let's poke holes into the process and all that kind of stuff. And so we can't wait to show you guys the final version, which we're working on. So we'll show that to you guys and demo to you guys as soon as we can.
yeah, so also really good work from the creative team as always. And I'm very excited sort of being able to unleash them to go do some of this stuff rather than typically has been, Nate, what can you throw together as quickly as possible so we can get it out next week. This is more purposely, we've talked about for this year, taking our time, uh thinking through things, and building out really good solid things for the future. And that's what we're going for. um all right, so I'm gonna to start getting into the nitty gritty of some of the things that have been going on. I wanted to start with the Soul Keep announcement from earlier today. For anyone that missed it, it is on our blog and in official announcements in Discord. The Soul Keep game has officially been sold to Double Coconut. Double Coconut is the company we initially hired to build the Soul Keep game, so they've done all the development and most of the game design for everything that you've seen. Um, and the reason was because, as I've said before, we just our goal, one of the my focuses since I've taken over, is that we need to focus on Splinterlands. I believe we've been too not focused over the last year or two, and that's been negative for the ecosystem. So I'm trying to do everything I can to focus our entire team on the core Splinterlands product. Um, and so AgRoad obviously has been taking over all the other things that the company's doing, as far as the Invenium platform, the Genesis League Goals game. So he is focusing and putting his time and effort onto that stuff. And the one kind of piece that didn't fit in exactly, um, with all this other stuff, was Soulkeep, as that was really like very tied in with Splinterlands. And couldn't just be easily moved to like what Agro's working on without kind of rebuilding a lot of the thing. Um, so the the best option in my mind was for Double Coconut to take it over. It was their idea. They came to me about taking it over because they were frustrated that it hasn't been released. They spent a long time building and putting their energy into this product. They want to get it out. They want it to be a successful game. Um, we just we don't have the ability or the resources right now to focus on another game launch. So this to me seemed like a huge win, because I had no other option other than to keep Soul Keep on the shelf, because I did not want to take that energy and resources off of Splinterlands to do it. So now, we have a dedicated team, that is very invested in this game, and they are going to work to get it launched as quickly as possible. And they're also going to put in the time and effort after launch to make it successful. That's one of the big things I wanted to touch on that I think a lot of people don't realize is that, to me, building the initial game product is actually the easier part of this whole thing. And I know in the past, when you used to buy a game cartridge, like a Nintendo game or whatever, from the store, it was all you build the game and then you sell it and then you move on to something else. But these days, games like Splinterlands, obviously, and Soulkeep, they're more like services than just something you build and sell and move on. So it's not, we didn't just build and put out the first version of Splinterlands and then be finished with it. It's something like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, any service you use. It's the real work comes after the initial version is launched, especially with tokens and the economies. And it's just constant work of new features, looking at what's going on, fixing exploits, marketing, community development. These were all so even though the Soulkeep game was mostly built and ready to go, these were all the things that are necessary that we don't have the time and resources to do, which is why we weren't just like, let's just launch it and then forget about it, because I don't think that would be a good way also to handle it. So now, again, there's Double Coconut has a team committed to doing this. They're going to be doing marketing, they're going to be doing promotion, they're going to be watching how it works, making changes, fixing economy or other problems. I've obviously the Splinterlands team is available and willing to help with that stuff. We're not going to be like, screw you guys, you're on your own. The game is still going to be using the Splinterlands platform, which means you'll still be, opening your packs in the Splinterlands website and managing your collection and doing all those things. The markets, they're still going to be requiring SPS tokens to be staked. The SPS reward pool, will still be given out as, part of the rewards. I expect that they are going to do new sales of things in the future. I mean, they are going to need to bring in some revenue, at some point after the game launches. So those sales will be done, you know, in priced in DEC, uh, as well as dollars, just like our current sales. That's kind of part of the arrangement. Um, but for all intents and purposes, it is their game. They will be responsible for the customer service, the community management, everything. I mean, we just think of it as it's a separate third party building a game utilizing Splinterland's assets and some of our platform. And if that goes well, obviously, then we can showcase that to other third parties that might want to do something similar. And say, well, hey, maybe you guys can require staked SPS in your game, or you can sell products for DEC, and here's how it worked out for this Soul Keep game, and here's how it can benefit you. So that's something we're going to keep in mind. But the obviously the number one focus right now is getting the product launched for everyone, allowing you to open your nightmare packs and start to use them and start to earn rewards. um, and that's it's a big load off my shoulders, to be able to finally have a path forward where I can say there's a team that's working to release this, and it should be relatively soon. I think, like, contractually, it's a 6-month period, but they want to get it launched as soon as possible, right? Waiting for is bad for them. So and this is their primary focus. So I think again, this was like a best of both worlds outcome. Uh, and I'm very happy that this finally was able to get done. Um, and again, if anyone has any specific questions on that, we'll get to the question section here probably in about 30 minutes, and I'd be happy to answer anything that I can. Um, the next topic I want to jump onto, which I know is going to be a big one, is the whole card burn event proposal. And so the proposal, again, if you missed it, was put up yesterday. There's been a lot of discussion. Um, and I'm very open to, potentially changing it. So, but to start, there are a few things that have been brought up that I wanted to address, talk about the thinking behind some of the numbers or the mechanics. Um, so one, initially we were planning to do a promo card sale separately for the halving. I know a lot of people have said they would prefer to have the promo card be one of the rewards for this event, and I get that. So I'm very open to just having this burn event be our halving event, and include a promo card as a reward for it. But that also comes down to the funds that our company is requesting from the DAO, um, which I think would need to be more if we're including a promo card, because promo card sales are one of the things that we count on for revenues to keep running the business. And at a high level, the whole concept of us requesting money from the DAO, is again the sort of new way of thinking about our business and how we run it from how it was before. So previously, it would just be that the company sells products to the community. We take all the money, from players that comes in, and we spend it on building out the product and making a better product. Um, I've felt that it would be better overall for the ecosystem if instead the sales were effectively conducted by the DAO, and that the DAO plays the Splinterlands company the funds that it needs to operate those things. I think that will ultimately, over the long term, put a lot more value into the assets, into the DAO, and into the players. And so, we started that with the Rebellion sale. Obviously, I think that was like a no-brainer and went incredibly well. Um, but going forward, I mean, the plan, or my plan for funding the business includes, continuing to ask the DAO to fund a lot of the things we're doing, especially as we are purposely not selling more things for a while. Or, before, there was a big push from the company to keep selling and putting out more and more and to bring in more revenue, and I think that really hurt the business by continuing to dilute the assets. So our plan, since I've taken over for 2024, is to purposely not do that, and to spend time, just having value, building more value into the ecosystem, so all the value that comes in goes to the assets, which will help us in the long term. But in order to make sure that, the company is funded through that, we are going to be asking the DAO for help with those things. And it may be more than, the bare minimum of cost that it would be to do these things. So if, those of you who looked at the proposal saw it, we were asking for $100,000 for what was proposed for the burning event. you know it's not going to cost us $100,000 just to put up that event. Part of it is that we were putting up nearly that amount in prizes from our wallets. So you could look at it like the DAO is paying us not only to build and operate the event, um, but also for those prizes to be available and encourage, cards and other assets to be burned. Um, and it's also just part of, the DAO helping the company to get through this next 6 to 12 months where we don't feel like we have to focus on selling and bringing in revenue all the time. And one thing I am still working on, although it has been difficult, is trying to raise money from venture capital or other type of investors for the company. But one of the things they look at is company revenue, right? So, and I've been clear with them also, like we are purposely, putting off selling new things into the market in order to build out for the future. But one of the things I had in my plan was to do these promo card sales or promo card events, and I've counted on a certain amount of revenue coming in for those. So it can either be that we just put out promo card sales like we've done in the past, and we take the revenue and we book that and we run our business, or we can do the mechanism where we allow the DAO to do it, and the DAO pays us, a reasonably similar amount. So, and that's totally up to the player community. So it's not, you know, if you don't do this, the business is going to fail and go away. That's 100% not the case. But it may change how we decide to put out new events, put out new sales, promotions, whatever it is that we do. And my preference, uh, really as a player more so than from the company's perspective, because from the company's perspective, I'm purposely giving up revenue and things because I think it will be beneficial long term. But from the ecosystem and player perspective, I would much prefer for the DAO to use its funds to help the company not have to worry about bringing in revenue on a regular basis. Again, I think that'll be much better over the long term. And I know the DAO doesn't have it's basically asking the DAO to take its um, external capital, right, and use that and basically build up more internal capital like DEC and SPS. And I understand that that's kind of a scary thing. Obviously, we want the DAO to have as much, as much assets that aren't dependent on the Splinterlands ecosystem. But ultimately, it's an investment in the future. So it's investing what the DAO has. In order to build up the value of its Splinterlands assets and ensure that the Splinterlands assets have value going into the future. And at some point, in the next bull market, that I do believe is coming, although I don't know the timing. And when a lot of our stuff that we've been talking about now is done over the next year or so, I would look for the DAO to start transitioning some of its SPS into stable coins or other external tokens. But when, just like normal treasury management, when the prices are low and we're in a bear market, you know, then you want to spend your stables and other things. And then, when things are hot and prices are frothy, I'd look for the DAO to start, rebuilding its stable coin supply um, from its Splinterlands assets. So that's how I think about things. That's where the funding request came from for this event. But it's definitely, it's up to the DAO to decide and the players and all of you guys to decide whether you want to do it or not. And so I have, talked to a bunch of people, a lot of feedback around including promo cards. So my plan is to go and spend some time doing the math and update the proposal to include the promo cards and have that be our having event. I think that I agree that that will make it a lot more exciting. So look forward to that in the near future. One of the things, though, I do want to be clear about is that the guaranteed amounts are going to be difficult. So I'm gonna see if there's a way we can do it or what those levels would be. And by guaranteed amounts, I mean like, so if you have a certain number of points in the event, you are guaranteed to get a promo card. Um, I just want to be very careful if we don't do that properly. And this is something where it's very hard to estimate how many cards or vouchers or other things are going to be burned. Um, I want to avoid a situation where there's just tons of these promo cards and they end up being effectively worthless. And that can be really difficult if we can't accurately predict the amounts. So I will consider that because I agree it's good and that players will like it, but if I'm not able to do it in a way where I'm, reasonably sure that there won't be a ridiculous oversupply of the assets, then I would think it would be better to leave it out. And one of the reasons, also, a lot of people were asking why not just card burning? Why include DEC and vouchers? And the reasoning behind that is because there are a ton, I mean, just like a huge amount, mostly of the Chaos Legion reward cards that are in a very small number of accounts, mostly the bot army accounts. And one of the things, with this promotion, this event, is to give them an opportunity, hopefully, to burn a lot of those cards and just get them out of the system and stop, just like listing them for sale in trickles on the market and keeping the card prices low. But I also don't want them to be able to dominate the event. Um, so that's why I was opening it up to DEC and vouchers as well, and with a pretty good deal for vouchers, so that those players can burn the cards. That's what we want, and participate in the event. But also players who don't have massive amounts of those reward cards or Chaos Legion cards can also use vouchers or other things to like equally participate in the event, and we don't give any one like small group a large advantage. And I would be hesitant to take that out for that reason. I think it makes the event less fair. um, but overall, I do really hope we're able to make the event happen. I think it will be good to just get use of this oversupply for new things that are in much less supply. Um, but I'm definitely gonna, I listen to the feedback. I mean, it's ultimately at the community's decision, and I think I want to be clear that everyone should feel like okay about voting against it if they don't like it. Right? It's not something where, like, this is a do or die scenario or something. We're putting out an event that we're proposing to put out an event that I think will be good. I think hopefully it'll be fun and interesting for players. Um, but you know, like, no one should feel bad or that we're going to be angry at them or something if they vote against it. And if the initial event proposal doesn't pass, then we can try other ones and different options until we get something that hopefully at least 2/3 of the SPS stakeholder community is really excited about, um, and looks forward to. So I just want to give that high level overview of kind of what we're looking at for the event, why we made some of the decisions we made there. And again, happy to take questions about it in a little bit when we get to the question section, and go into that stuff in more detail. Um, then I wanted to get into the player experience stuff and specifically the ranked changes that Investigator went through, the long list of them. I was going to give more like a high level thinking behind them. Again, and I talked a lot about this last time 2 weeks ago too, but I'll reiterate again. When we kind of sat down to do this, and this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. It's not just a recent thing, but now we have the opportunity to do it. Um, in the past, I was always like looking at, here's how the system works. What little things can we tweak here and there? What is this a problem? Let's tweak this, or let's try to add this or do this. And we've over the years built up this system with like all these little tweaks and patches and changes and rules. And I feel like it was very difficult to wrap your head around. It was very hard to pinpoint where the underlying problems are in the midst of all these weird things, and it's hard to tell what's working, what's not working, because there's like 20 different things all interacting with each other. So my thinking was, let's just um, let's just start fresh. If we were building a brand new thing from the ground up, how would we build it? Don't worry about all the things that we've done in the past, and obviously we're going to learn from all the things we've done in the past. But don't worry about like trying to keep things as they are and tweaking them. Like, let's just try to throw everything out and build a system that works from the ground up. And with the focus on simplicity, I think simplicity is best. This is effectively a free market system, and the more rules and things that you put on a free market system, the less it makes it a free market system, and the more it makes it not work properly, which is, I think, how our entire financial system operates right now, in globally, not in Splinterlands. I don't want to go that route for Splinterlands. So when we were looking at this, we one of the biggest things, in my opinion, was that the ranked system should always 100% of the time encourage people to move up to higher ranks. That's just a very simple thing, in my opinion, that it should do, and that was behind a lot of the changes in the thinking we've been doing. um, and then um, also, it's extremely important for a ranked battle system like this, a PvP ranked battle system, to be able to match people appropriately. And I think those two things go hand in hand. If people, the matchmaking system uses rating. Rating is the mechanic by which it determines if two players are a good match for each other. And if players have varying different incentives to change their rank, and the ability to change their rank to different areas where they maybe shouldn't be, that messes up the whole matchmaking system, right? If ranks don't necessarily mean your actual chances of winning a battle against someone of a similar rank, that the system is messed up. And I feel like that's ultimately, like, that one thing there is behind a lot of the issues that I think that we're seeing in Splinterlands currently, is that people are in many cases incentivized not to move up when really they should, and then that makes them be matched against people who aren't good matches for them. um, and so, in order to achieve this, we're removing a lot of those restrictions. So, leagues will still be in the game, but they're really just like, you know, different rating ranges. That's all they are. It's just, a way to easily show off what rating range that you're in. They will not limit your cards that you can use in any way. So, you can use max level cards regardless of what league you're in. There's going to be no penalties for using lower level cards. Um, and there will be no, like, staying and, like, choosing to stay in bronze league or choosing to not advance or any of that stuff. So there's not going to be leaderboards in all of the earlier leagues because there's no separation anymore. It's really just one big ranked ladder. There'll still be a leaderboard at the top for players to compete for. um, but the idea is that the rating then, will be very simple in that it players will automatically move to wherever they achieve roughly a 50-50 win loss uh, rating. If they're winning more than 50% of the time, their rating will increase. If they're winning less than 50% of the time, their rating will drop until they get to a place where they're at roughly a 50-50 win loss ratio. And that means then the matchmaking system will be much simpler. It'll just match people with the closest opponent in rating that it can, and then we'll know that those players each have roughly a 50-50 chance of beating each other, um, because the system is built that way, where it just players move to where they're at a 50-50 win loss ratio. So that means it doesn't matter if someone has, like, super high level cards, they might be a really bad player. Someone with low level cards might be a really good player. But based their rating will figure that out. So the rating system will be allowed to work as it's supposed to, and it'll also make there always be advantages for people to get higher level cards. I mean, that was we all want people to want to buy cards. That's, like, kind of the whole point of this. Like, you need more cards in order to move up. It's a combination of skill and assets. So previously, you were in a certain league, you were able to stay in that league, and, like, you literally couldn't use any higher level cards. You're winning soulbound reward cards. Once you got over a certain level, they were useless to you. It was useless for you to go to the market and try to, level up your cards past a certain amount. That will no longer be the case. So anyone, at any skill level or any league, unless they already have all the max cards, I guess, um, will get a benefit from getting higher level cards. So if you have a what we call a bronze league deck now, and you're in bronze and you're struggling to move up, you can go on the market and buy more cards or rent more cards, level up your cards, or earn more soulbound reward cards, and then it will help you move up. I mean, you could go get max level cards if you want, and you can keep playing them and utilizing them at your level, and then you will naturally move up to wherever is the new correct spot for you. So at a high level, I just think this really will fix a lot of things naturally, make everything much simpler. And then I don't expect it's going to fix everything, and I don't expect it's going to be perfect. But what I do expect is that it should be much easier for us to identify where the new problems are, if assuming that there are some. Which is also a big benefit, because if it's easier for us to say, like, hey, we implemented this new system, there's this problem, and we're able to identify it, um, that'll be extremely helpful, and then we can resolve it, hopefully, which is an issue with the current system. It's very hard to identify what is actually causing some of these issues when there's so many different interacting things. So investigator had gone through the more specific list of things that we're doing. The Those changes are expected to go into effect on February 29th, after the end of the season, so we don't want to do it in the middle of a season. um, and I'm really excited to see how that works. One of the things that is not going to be included in February 29th, but is the next priority right after, is reworking the reward system that goes along with that. So on February 29th, all those changes will take place to rank battles, but you will still be earning chests the same way that you had in the past. That is not changing yet. We are planning to change that because that also has a number of those same problems. For example, you move from bronze to silver, you might go from getting 20 chests a day to 3 chests a day, even though they're silver chests versus bronze chests. Um, that that's a step down. It makes people feel bad about moving up and not want to move up, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So we're going to basically throw out the whole chest system and instead implement what we're calling a reward point shop. So right now, every battle you win, you get these reward points that earn you chests. Instead of earning you chests, You will just get those reward points as like another non-tradable currency, and you can go in the shop and you can spend them. So it will also give players a lot more choice about how they use their reward points. It'll even give the option for players to save up their reward points over many seasons to make a larger purchase if they want. So one of the main things that you'll be able to purchase is a soulbound reward card chest. So that'll be basically similar to the chests that we have now, except they will be guaranteed to contain soulbound reward cards and nothing else. And you'll be able to buy like a bronze tier chest that is most likely common cards, or all the way up to champion chests that are much more likely to have gold foil and higher rarity cards, or more quantity of common cards, and they'll obviously cost more reward points. There'll be other things you can buy, from potions. You'll be able to use them to buy more energy. So if you want to, take your winnings, your reward points, and use them to play more battles, you'll be able to do that. And we're considering, and this is something we're planning to just add more things to this reward point shop, kind of like constantly over time. At some point, we'll probably add some land things in there, maybe with land phase 2.0. You'll be able to spend your reward points on land. There may be some guild things that you'll be able to buy. There'll probably be cosmetics at some point. We were even thinking of initially doing some like very rare high level title, um, that's very expensive in reward points. So our like top players could save if they want to save up their reward points for a number of seasons, and they could buy this title that would probably be like limited edition things like that. One of the other cool things. Is that as most of we're planning on releasing a new set of soulbound reward cards, hopefully at some point this coming summer. So once this new system is in place, players will be able to save up their reward points, uh, and then as soon as the new set of soulbound reward cards drop, they'll be able to use their saved up reward points over a number of seasons to kind of get a head start on those new cards. And there was a lot of discussion about like, is that a good thing? Is that bad? Should we not allow that? And I think that's a great thing. It's as long as it's equally available to everybody, so players can decide: do I want to spend my points now on reward cards or other things that can help me now, or do I want to save up and kind of use them later? And we are planning on having it be like a limited amount that you can get with like increasing prices, similar to energy, how it is now. So, you might be able to buy 10 champion level reward card chests with your reward points at a certain price in reward points. And then the next 10 has an increased price, and the next 10 has an increased price after that. So if you want to save up all your reward points and get a head start in the new soulbound reward cards, you can do that, but it'll be less efficient than someone who's just, spending those points over time. Um, but overall, I think it's a much better way to do rewards, in the sense that it is clearly better to move up in your rating. The higher the reward points that you get is directly based on your rating. So higher rating is more reward points. You can buy more stuff. It will never be good to stay at a lower league. It would always be better to move up. And then players get a lot more choice on how they spend their reward points. So there's no more complaining. I don't need potions. That if you don't need potions, you don't have to spend it on potions. You can spend it on all sorts of other things, and it really opens up a lot of really cool options that we can also do for rewards and kind of like offer things to players. Um, so that's what we're planning for the reward point shop. And again, that's not going to be out at the end of this month, but it's going to be like the next thing that we're working on after these first changes that I talked about before. And then the other thing Investi mentioned that we're working on is the one-click scent rentals, which I know I've been talking about for at least a year now, probably more. But it's actually happening, and this is going to be a really big thing, especially for the new players coming into the game. What the goal is to, when a new player comes in and they after they get through the kind of tutorial onboarding experience, rather than just putting them in bronze and saying go figure it out, or go figure out what cards to get on the market and how to do all that stuff, they're going to have a bunch of credits that they receive when they purchase a spell book, and we're going to give them a button to click, and it will rent an entire set of cards for them with one click, so they can start playing and have a good experience, and be able to win battles and the kind of experience all the cards. And it'll actually rent it off the market from other players. So it'll be, every new player we have coming in will put some of that value from the spell book essentially back into the market. I think that's just probably one of the most difficult things for new players, which is saying a lot because there are a number of difficult things for new players. But just like you get destroyed in bronze, obviously with no cards other than the starter cards, and now they'll be able to just like without knowing or understanding anything, click a button and get a really good deck to start playing with and learning the game. Um, so that's a system I've been excited about for a really long time, and it actually will be happening in the pretty near future. I think I can say with high confidence. Um, and the last thing I wanted to talk about before we get to questions is just a quick land update. I know Nate showed some cool stuff. There's not much of an update since what we talked about 2 weeks ago. The highest priority is still the grain DEC market. That is coming along really well. My hope is that that will be released in the pretty near future, although we're not giving any dates at this point. Um, it's being built in a way to kind of plan for the future when there will be lots of different pairs, not just grain and DEC. But for now, it'll just start with just grain and DEC. Um, After that, I think the focus is going to be on things like the prefix titles for players doing research, and the other ways you can earn prefix titles. Uh, we're going to focus on allowing delegated and rented cards to be used on land. Um, and there's probably a few other things in like the 1.6 that we're calling it. And kind of once those are all banged out, then we're going to really start, you know, getting started on 2.0. So that's the land update. Nothing too new and exciting, but still working on that grain DEC market and some of those other things. Um, with those things out of the way, I'm gonna start with the pre-sorted questions as always. Then once I'm done with that, we'll turn it over to live questions from the audience. Uh, we don't have too many pre-sorted questions, so we should get through them relatively quickly. And as always, I'm going to try to keep it quick. Uh, Investee and Nate, feel free to jump in if there's anything you guys can answer to save my voice a little bit. Um, the first question is about land and about a few town halls ago that I agreed that the Tundra Canyon 5% haven't worked out as intended and that we would think about some changes to it. Um, yeah, it's I still agree that it's probably best that we do something different for that. Um, and there are, I have a few ideas. Some other people have thrown out a few ideas. It hasn't been the kind of a high priority thing right now. A lot of the focus has been on the player experience stuff. But I do plan at least before like phase 2.0 is out. I would guess at some time before that uh, we'll kind of address that. And I hope to address it in a way that kind of works for everybody. Because I know some people like it. They mentioned in the question they can use neutral cards. Some people don't, but we're gonna see. So it's not been forgotten about, but it's not a high priority. Um, Next question, also about land. If every future set has half the production of the previous set, it doesn't seem like new sets will have the same retirement plan as older sets. Yeah, so first of all, I don't know if we ever said that, but that was not what I was thinking at all. So, right now, Rebellion has 50% production on land. Um, I don't plan for any cards to ever have like less than that or for it to be keep coming less and less. And I feel like once Rebellion moves out of Modern, which will be a while down the road, that 50% uh, penalty would go away. I don't know if it would, they would have a bonus or whatever. But the kind of thought was that cards that are in Modern would have a penalty on land to encourage them to be used more in battles than for land, and the wild cards are the ones that we encourage to use for land. So I don't know exactly. This is going to be a while since that happens. We haven't like thought exactly about how that's going to work, but my thinking was that the 50% penalty would at the very least go away for rebellion cards, and then the new sets would just have that same 50% penalty. Next question is about the airdrop cards for the conflicts. Is the one guaranteed card per 200 chances fixed from the first to the ninth airdrop card, or will the guaranteed chances increase? They will definitely increase. I mean, they kind of have to increase. Otherwise, I think we just give out way too many cards. I actually think the 200 chances was a bit too low, even for Rage. Um, so, you guys may get more cards than I originally intended, but I believe the plan for the next card, which Nate, uh, you know, previewed to everybody, is that it's going to be 250 chances for the guaranteed reward, and then each card, I think we're just going to do the math and decide as it gets closer to the next conflict. The next question is about nodes, the validator nodes. I've heard the SPL team has access to your assets and can remove them at any time. Not that we ever would. Is this something that will change with nodes, and how? Will it give the same option to node holders if they agree to remove someone's cards? Yeah, this is a really good question. And I think it's important that people, a lot of people have different levels of understanding about how this type of thing works. And it's not just with Splinterlands; it's with everything. Um, so right now, most of the Splinterlands system works where obviously everything is published onto the Hive blockchain. We don't have players' keys, so we can't publish transactions on players' behalf or anything. And we can't change anything about what happens on the Hive blockchain. So the Hive blockchain is the immutable, decentralized ledger with which everything happens. But the actual code for processing Splinterlands transactions on the Hive blockchain um, is currently proprietary. It is not yet open source, and it is run only by us. We're the only ones who maintain players' balances of tokens and cards and everything. Um, so and it's the same thing as if, like, you take Bitcoin or whatever, but only one person was actually running a node and everyone else was dependent upon that node. So that's obviously not an ideal situation, and that's exactly what the validator nodes intend to start solving. And it's starting only with the fungible tokens, the SPS voucher and license tokens initially for the nodes. So once that is done, that code will be open sourced, and anyone is able to independently run that software. And that means we won't be the only ones running that, and you won't have to be dependent on us for balances and everything like that. um, and so even currently, if we were to report incorrect information and say so and so doesn't have any SPS tokens when they really did, it can be proven. That's the difference between even what we're doing and traditional games or products that don't use a blockchain. It can be proven that we're doing that, right? So everything is verifiable. You can prove, like, hey, I have these keys. Then you can look at the blockchain and say there were no transactions where I sent this SPS, or here are the transactions where I received the SPS or whatever. So you can prove that you are supposed to have a certain balance of tokens or cards or whatever, and that we are reporting it incorrectly. So while we can do that, obviously our entire business and reputation is based around us not doing that. And if we did it incorrectly, it could be proven that we were doing it. So that to me is it's important for players to understand that while we can do these things, we can report things incorrectly. Um, that we are forced to do it correctly because everything is public and verifiable through the Hive blockchain. And that's a big difference, because in any other type of product that doesn't use a public decentralized blockchain, if you log into whatever it is and they say, hey, you don't have anything, um, it's really just your word versus theirs for the most part. There's no, like, provable way that you can show that you got these things or you did these things in a way that can't be like doctored or faked or anything like that. And so the goal, though, is to get the validator node software out, and that fixes that completely for the tokens. And then at some point also integrate all the assets, which include cards and DEC and other NFTs. I would love to be able to spend a ton more time and resources on doing that as soon as possible. Um, but I think most everyone is in agreement that the things that we are working on are more important right now. And my hope is that, as we get things into a better place going forward, potentially there's another bull market for crypto and blockchain games. We'll be able to really get a team that can focus on that stuff, because that's very important to me as well as many people. So that was a good question, and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about and hopefully clarify some of that. The next question is about soulbound reward cards. What about a reduced unlock cost for soulbound reward cards if you unlock them for only using on land? Yeah, so I mean has been the plan, and there was a governance proposal to allow soulbound that passed that to allow the soulbound reward cards to be unlocked only for land at a cheaper cost. Um, I'm still holding off a bit purposely on doing any of that stuff. I want to wait first till all these changes that we just talked about to the rank battle and reward system go into place, see how things go, and I want to wait till we get closer to the actual allowing them to be unlocked fully when the new set is released. Um, before kind of making any decisions. And the reasoning is because things change a lot and they change quickly, and the decisions we make now might kind of be out the window with all these other changes that are happening. So I want to wait till we have more information and we get closer before we kind of decide the best route to go there. Um, Next question is reward chests and end of season reward pools. When will the reward chests and end of season pools be split properly for modern and wild? Yes, that is going to be part of the reward changes that we talked about. I mean, all the current chest system is going to go away. The current plan is to put all the SPS rewards just to be part of the when you win a battle. So it'll just be two simple pools: one modern pool, one wild pool, and the amount you get will just be based on your rating. Um, when you win a battle, and that will again just kind of naturally fix the imbalances that are caused right now. So that's one of the things that is good to me when we're kind of designing these changes. When the changes we're designing fix existing problems naturally, that wasn't even the purpose of them. It kind of shows that the changes, in my opinion, it shows that they're the right changes and we're doing the right things rather than changes that create more problems. So the first change on at the end of the month, I think the one change is going to happen is that we're not going to have separate pools for each league for the ranked battle rewards. So it'll just be one big pool for modern and one big pool for wild, but there will still be the chest pools. So that will make it again by having the one big pool for modern and wild, it will make it so that at least in modern, the higher level battles will get a higher share of the rewards than they're currently getting. And it will again encourage people to move up in rating more than stay in lower ratings. Once the changes to the reward system come out, then we'll get rid of the SPS reward pool for loot chests because the loot chests will be going away, and those will also just go into the rank battle win reward pools. Hopefully that was not too confusing. Happy to take questions and explain that better hopefully later if anyone's not understanding it. Um, Question about future hires: at what Bitcoin or SPS price would you consider sustainably growing the team again? Where would these future hires be prioritized? I mean, yeah, as of right now, we definitely can't. Our goal is to keep expenses reduced and make sure we can, get through at least the next year and build out the things we want to build without having to worry too much about, always bringing in revenue and running out of money. I don't have a specific price for Bitcoin or SPS, but it's just it'll be based on generally the financial situation of the company. If we have enough, I'd say as long as we have a good like 2 years runway in the bank, um, then anything extra, I would look for growing the team. That's how I look at it. Uh, Suggestions channel. Do I sometimes read the suggestions channel on Discord? Uh, Sometimes, I would say not often. I do when people tag me, I do try to read it. I hesitate to say that. I don't want a million people tagging me because then I will not be able to read it anymore. But I know a lot of people like I can't. One of the things is like I don't do as much of the stuff as I used to do. So actually, a lot of my time is spent also just like managing the business and dealing with fundraising or tax issues or whatever things that come up. So I know other team members do read the suggestions channels and the different channels a lot more than I do, and typically a lot of the things that ultimately happen come from that. So I don't think. Tagging me is necessarily the best way to go, or even me just reading the suggestions channel all the time. But I rely on the team to do those things. And they, the things that they agree with or that the community feels are important, they bubble up to me, and I usually say, "Yeah, that sounds great," and let's figure out how to do it. Uh,
I would say that if you meant when the question is do you, if they meant
oh,
Matt, then that's one thing. If you meant you meaning the team, then I think as Matt said, then the answer is definitely yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you put something in suggestions channel, then chance our support is probably going to read it. And Harry, correct me if I'm wrong, that probably boils up into the triage meetings we have every morning, and we look at that and decide, hey, what do we do with this? Do we assign someone to explore it further, etc.? And then if you put something in the UX channel, absolutely, our creative coordinator keeps on tabs on that. So do our designers, and that boils up to our design meetings, which I have twice a week, and we look at that and prioritize it and decide whether to explore it further. So I would say either section gets some eyeballs on it, and people do look at it. So we're definitely keep the feedback rolling in.
yeah, and I know some of the developers do that too. Royal and the support team, Claiborne, obviously. So yeah, so I may have misinterpreted that since I'm reading the question. I took it to literally mean me, but yes, the team absolutely does. Uh, that was an easy yes. Question about are we still in beta? I I don't know. I don't know what exactly the criteria or if there is actually any criteria for deciding what is beta or what isn't. I guess generally it seemed to me to just be a way for companies to just have a cop out and say not everything's going to work perfectly. We're in beta. Um, I don't know. I don't know that it really matters. I mean, we are what we are, and obviously we do our best to make a good product and fix any issues. But there's always going to be issues and things that come up. So I don't know. I wouldn't even necessarily classify us as being in any such specific stage. Um,
I would say that until this year, we have a very MVP mindset. And starting this year, moving forward, we have a slightly different shift into like, well, let's add that extra layer of polish, or let's think things through. Let's take our time a little bit more to make sure that the final product is less rough around the edges. And so if you take that as a milestone between, yeah, that stuff, last few years have been kind of beta-ish, and going forward it'll be less beta-ish. But I will say that you're right, man. I would say if you do see the word beta, I have pondered whether until crafting cards becomes a thing, I'm almost tempted to put a little beta disclaimer on the entire land section, because as new players get on board into the game and they think, hey, I'm going to participate in it, or at least until the market. Well, yeah, but then they're speculatively trading on resources that may or may not have a use until the future. So I don't know. I mean, we could entertain the notion of using the term beta now and then officially in some way, but
yeah,
yeah, I guess it's subjective
Yeah,
right now.
I don't think that term really applies well to trading card games. With most like single player games, you have a finished product that you release at a certain point, but as we release new sets and the game continues to evolve, we're going to constantly be doing updates in the future, hopefully. So I don't think beta really applies here.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I would say though that you brought up land. I mean, land is definitely, I'd say, in an alpha. I mean, it was more like, we have this whole plan for a thing to build. We kind of put out a smaller version that we thought we could get out and test things out and see how it goes. So that is not meant to be a finished product with what's there now, and sort of more like early kind of testing and trying things out product. So land, I would call alpha at this point. But as far as the rest of the product, yeah, you can't. It's hard to really classify it that way. Next question is about the card burning event. About making an informed decision on the proposal. Is it simply a cool, fun event that you think would be interesting? I mean, yeah, I guess that's how I looked at it. I looked at it as people. There are players who have a lot of excess cards sitting around. There are players who have a lot of excess vouchers sitting around. Not so much DEC. And this was more just a way like you could get rid of them, get them out of circulation, and possibly get some cool stuff for them. And as far as to go on a little bit of a tangent, the prizes and people, a lot of people were commenting, oh, it's not worth it. One of the interesting things is like if everyone feels like it's not worth it, then it becomes worth it, right? Because it's based on the if there's not many people participating, then you can participate and be guaranteed prizes. So yeah, it's kind of like it. Even if it was just goes forward as is without promo cards or guarantees or anything, there's still something like over $200,000 worth of prizes being given out. Um, so at some level, it will be worth. It can't just be worth it or not worth it. It depends on how many people participate. So again, free market type system where if literally no one participates, then you could burn one thing and be top on the leaderboard and get the top leaderboard prizes and a guaranteed reward. It's 100% worth it. You'll make out quite well. So then people will continue to burn until it becomes not worth it, right? So it would still be a successful burning event in the sense that a lot of things would be burned more so than what is given out at the very least, and have a positive effect on the ecosystem. That being said, I still am open to including the promo card, which will make it even more worth it for more things to be burned. Um, B, is the proposal something that I think is critical for the future of the game or the company? No, not definitely not at all. Everything will be just fine whether or not it happens. Um, is this event mainly focused on tokenomics? I guess I'm not sure what it could be focused on otherwise. I mean, or what exactly would be classified as tokenomics? I mean, it's focused on, like I said, there's a bunch of players have a bunch of excess amount of this stuff. Give them an opportunity to burn it, get it out of circulation, and get some new and hopefully more interesting and cooler stuff for it. That was the idea behind the event. Um, Battle helpers question: will it be possible to hold a live stream challenge mode battle in modern for high performance accounts so they can prove they're not using any form of battle helpers? I'm not sure maybe if I understand that or how that would work. I guess if people were live streaming their battle, then we
People
could
are
tell.
welcome to do that on their own. I don't think we're going to implement a live streaming battle mode in the game anytime soon.
I'm not even sure how we could, yeah, do that necessarily. Or even, I mean, I'm sure people could just have a battle helper up on a second monitor and you wouldn't even know. So I'm not sure if that yeah, I'm not sure if that would be possible. Uh, when will Bloodstones and Power Stones be available for purchasing merits? Uh, Investi, is that one of the things going out on Tuesday?
Yeah, right. I need to unmute myself again. Yeah, that is going out Tuesday.
Okay, there you go, Tuesday. Um, Lore, are there holidays in Pretoria, Nate?
Yes, absolutely. And we're hoping as time goes by that it'll become more and more obvious. Like I know with the recent holidays, we had Winterfest going on, so whether it's Valentine's Day or April Fool's Day or any number of days, holidays, we do hope to have an equivalent Praetorian or Splinterlands based fantasy holiday that we could celebrate. Hopefully someday with skins and cosmetics and retheming of the battle screen and all this other stuff. Like we'd love to do that stuff, and hopefully over time as the opportunity presents itself, we'll make that more and more clear to the players.
Cool. So the holidays that are, you know, linked up with real world holidays and maybe some Splinterland specific holidays. So I look forward to celebrating some Praetorian holidays with you guys. Um, Last question, I think. Oh, there's a big picture here. I guess it's suggesting a different method of uh, printing reward cards, where I guess you burn a certain number of reward cards plus DEC to mint new cards of the same rarity or similar rarity, which I guess is similar to like a dusting type system like they have in Hearthstone and other games. So one thing that this brought up that I do want to mention is as part of the reward shop changes that we're planning on. We were planning to allow players to burn their soulbound reward cards for more reward points that they could go spend in the shop. And so you could, if you have a bunch of excess reward cards that you don't want or don't need, you could burn them, get more reward points, and then you could go in the reward shop and buy more reward cards in the chests or other things. So that was kind of the system we were thinking about in the pretty near future for allowing players to get rid of excess soulbound reward cards and get new ones. There currently is not any DEC involved in that, but obviously, in order to make the soulbound reward cards tradable, when we get to that, that will require a DEC burn. But I guess we'll still consider different ideas. But I just wanted to let everyone know, since I forgot earlier, that that is part of the plan. For soulbound reward cards, and we've been thinking about doing a similar thing for gladiator cards, allowing you to burn gladiator cards for merits, which then you can use to buy more gladiator cards. So, like, again, a dusting mechanism to get rid of cards you don't want and try to get cards you need. And definitely not at a 1-to-1 ratio. Uh, all right, so that is the end of the pre-sorted questions. Let us jump into questions in Discord and YouTube. The Q&A session is now open. I know everyone has all their questions ready. They copy paste in there. Um,
Yeah.
and as always, I'm gonna try to check the YouTube and Twitch chats here, but Ron, feel free to jump in if there are some questions there that I don't seem to be noticing. But I'm gonna start with Discord. Okay, first question looks like it is from Jedi Elf. Are there specific things the team hope to get in place before the killer whale streaming on Apple TV around mid-March? Um, I mean, not specifically. Obviously, we're trying to get these things in place as quickly as we can, uh, just because it's beneficial all around. We'll see what happens with the killer whale thing. It's great to have. I don't generally expect that we'll get too much from it, but yeah, I mean, in general, we're trying to get our new player experience stuff out as quickly as we can. I don't. We're not planning to like rush anything out for that though. If that answers the question.
I
Uh,
will say that on the creative side of things, we were slowly preparing all the copy from the narrative team and some stuff from the art team, and we were preparing, and that went alongside with our kind of freshening up of our branding, so the logo and stuff like that. So we were preparing for like this great, beautiful launch of the player experience, along with coinciding with that, all this other stuff. Because of the Apple TV thing, we you know, might take some of this copy and art stuff and everything, and just maybe a little sooner than expected, go to all the DApp sites or the media channels and stuff, and just freshen up. Kind of like if you're having guests over, you kind of like throw all the mop and sweep real quick and dust and make it look like you don't look like a complete slob. So we might do that, at least from a marketing perspective, at least freshen up. If they watch the show and Google Splinterlands, what's going to pop up? Is it a whole bunch of obsolete verbiage and logos and art, or is it going to be the coolest stuff? Best way to make a first impression, right? Just kind of go out there and freshen things up. So I think we'll, at the very bare minimum, we'll at least do that, right?
yeah, that you brought up a good point, or you reminded me about something else that we're doing as part of the whole player experience project. Is Royal and the support team are doing an initiative to update and clean up the docs.splinterlands.com, knowledge base, which is sorely out of date at this point. So, as part of the whole player experience project, they're working on getting that to be like a real up to date kind of like white paper for the whole game. And I personally know some people who are new to this system or coming in, and they go there and they look for the information there. So I think getting that to be an up to date resource will help with all of these things. Um, I see. I think there was a question that scrolled past from the other channels. Ron, are you able to see that? Yeah, okay, here we go. So, question from Paul Taylor. For the reward dust store, will we be able to choose the card we want, or is it random? So, the current plan is that it will be random based on chests, and you'll be able to choose the level of chest you want. So, like a champion chest will give you a random card with a much higher chance of being legendary or epic or gold foil, or the lower level cards. If you get a common, you might get a bunch of them versus like a bronze chest or a silver chest. But there were some ideas thrown around about having like a random specific card that's offered. sometime. So you could, for like one day only, you could spend reward points and buy this card, um, which was a cool idea. So that's kind of what we're throwing around right now. Not allowing you to choose like any specific cards. You could choose the random card chess, or potentially like a card of the day or something like that. And I'll do the one more question that I see from the other channels before hopping back to Discord. Uh, as soon as Ron stopped moving it around. Question: Has the team? Like, I can't see the username that it's from, but has a Wolfshire? Thanks. Has the team considered an event where the team sells a token or uses vouchers or DEC to morph reward and Chaos Legion cards that are overprinted into new cards at a ratio to reduce the print rate? Yeah, I mean, I guess effectively that would be what this burning event is. You burn those cards and or vouchers or DEC, and you get these other cards, or other things. But also, one of the things I want to be a little careful about, even though there are a ton of oversupply of those cards, like it's not really causing many problems. Like I want to make sure like we're fixing things that are actual issues. So it's obviously good to have like less supply of things and have things be more valuable and not have like super cheap stuff on the market all the time. But like you can't really win with like just those reward cards or things. So yeah, like those cards are cheap. But I don't want to go like overboard trying to get rid of them and then like introduce all this new stuff, which may like kind of make what's not a huge problem potentially into a problem. So I think it's good to do things here and there that encourage people to use those cards and get rid of them, but not go overboard. And then there was like some comments in the chat earlier that if we are, I mean, our goal is really to grow this thing. For a long time we've just been focusing on keeping on putting out more stuff or getting more money in from our current relatively small user base. Um, with everything we're doing with the player experience and the onboarding experience is like we need to bring in like hundreds of thousands of new people into this ecosystem, and in which case those cards may not seem overprinted anymore. Especially if you're trying to get higher level versions of them, it definitely can't support hundreds of thousands of people even with our most printed card at higher levels. So my focus is less around trying to reduce the supply of those and more around trying to get so many people in that you know there's no problem with the supply of those, which I think again is the better long term way to go here. All right, I'm going to jump back to Discord. Question from Axler Twin Blade: How will SPS staking affect rewards when we're now forced to advance? This will push people past their effective SPS levels. Well, I mean, again, you don't need any amount of SPS staked. So, as people advance through the ranks, they may earn fewer reward points if they don't increase their SPS staked. But it's not like pushing them past any effective level where it's creating any problem for them. And similarly, as they move up in the ranks and they get higher rating, they will earn more staked SPS for each battle win, and that will even be compounded as again we talked about moving the reward pools and fixing the reward pools, to put more toward each rank battle win. So my hope is that you will naturally increase your SPS stake as you move up in rank so that you sort of stay roughly at the same level. And then if you want to go out and buy SPS, which we encourage, you can increase your rewards further. But that's how I look at that. And in no situation, even if you're moving up faster than you know than the SPS you're earning, it just means you'll get lower reward points relative to. Maybe you still get more reward points though because you're at a higher rating. So your reward points should always be going up. But obviously, if you got more SPS and you have more SPS, they could be going up even more. So I hope that explains it. But I think again the system like naturally works out okay uh, with the SPS staking requirements. Question from HB67: Given the recent announcement about the sale of Soul Keep and the plans to continue using Splinterlands platform and tokens, there's a significant aspect that is missing from the agreement. Considering that the SPS tokens are governed by the SPS DAO, which has not been mentioned as the party in the agreement between Splinterlands and Double Coconut, how does this affect the assurance that Soul Keep will indeed be able to use SPS tokens? Um, Yeah, so there was never any agreement between the DAO, even in Splinterlands, the company, right? So it is 100% up to the token holders whether they want the SPS tokens, whether they want a reward pool and SPS tokens to be available for the Soul Keep game or not. Um, and that goes for the Splinterlands game too. Or if they decide, hey, we don't want SPS tokens to be given out for land anymore, or for whatever, that's up to the token holders to decide. So the hope is that by double, double coconut and the game requiring people to stake SPS in order to earn the rewards, it will be a net positive for the ecosystem. And if they're successful at bringing in new players and new users, those new users will be required also to get and stake SPS in order to earn those rewards. But if that's not the case, then the DAO can vote to no longer give out those rewards. So it's a mutually beneficial. The idea is that it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and each party can decide not to participate, which again no different than the Splinterlands game. So it's a good question, and good that everyone kind of
So
understands that.
there is also currently a past proposal to supply SPS rewards to the game. So it just hasn't been implemented, but it's already been approved by the DAO in the past.
Yeah, right. So right now those rewards are given out to people just for holding the nightmare packs. When the game launches, those will change to be uh, gameplay based. And yeah, that's the plan since it was passed, and that's moving forward, and it'll be part of the game launch unless the DAO decides otherwise. Um, Question from Rudy Edwards. A long time ago, we talked about giving players options to play lower level cards so they aren't penalized for having combined BCX, like cards that are better and lower in BCX, like in reverse speed. Is this ever getting implemented? Uh, Ever? Hopefully, but it's still, that's a kind of involved project to do. If it was something simple, we would have done it. It's pretty involved and it just hasn't been a priority. So obviously going forward, everything we do, we try to make it so that that's not the case. We want people to always want to play higher level cards. Um, so hopefully that problem shouldn't be getting worse. But it just has never been a priority to do that project. Um, when new Soulbound reward cards come in, do the old Soulbound reward cards leave Modern immediately? No, the old Soulbound reward cards are part of the Chaos Legion set, so they will leave Modern when everything else in the Chaos Legion set leaves Modern. Um, Marcor has a question. Uh, Bitcoin halving is expected to be on the 18th of April, and the card burn event is 1 month long. So it means the card burning event starting 1 month before the Bitcoin halving in mid March. Uh, I don't know exactly. I mean, we only just been talking for the last day about making the burning event be part of the halving event. Um, so my thinking off the top of my head would that it would be like run like from a little bit before the halving to a little bit after the halving, like 2 weeks before to 2 weeks after, roughly. So it's just around the halving. Sounds good to me, but I'm open to other ideas if people have them. Um, Question from Raza Fratton. With the interlacing of Soulkeep to Splinterlands, it's mentioned we'll be able to open packs on the Splinterlands platform. Does this mean we'll be able to utilize Splinterlands potions to increase rarity drop on Nightmare packs? That's a good question. I would say so. Um, Investi or anyone, feel free to jump in if you feel like that's not the case. But
It's been a long time since I've looked at that code, but I think it does. And if it doesn't, wouldn't be that hard to implement.
yeah, so I mean, I would plan for them to be able to be used, and kind of for anything similar that uses the Splinterlands platform. Always good to give more value to potions. Question from Pardinus. Will the conscript ability be addressed? Announced changes will definitely help the new player experience, but getting matched against gladiators they can't obtain is still a huge handicap. So again, this is one of the things where I want to wait to address anything like that until we see all these other changes go into effect. Because right now it's really hard to pinpoint where the problems are and what a good solution will be. And my hope is that when this new system is implemented and things are much simpler, we'll be able to really clearly identify if that is still a problem and how to address it. But one of the things to consider is that um, you should never be matched against anyone where you have a huge handicap. If people have all these good gladiator cards, they should win more until they move up to a point where they again have a roughly 50-50 win rate. So and then they'll be matched up against people that will be good matches for them. And you as a player, if you don't have those cards and you are not a good match for them, you shouldn't be matched up with them. So that's what I mean. Like, if this is done correctly, a lot of these things should naturally sort themselves out by having a good rating and matchmaking system that works. If that's not the case, we will hopefully be able to see it more easily and address it. But my hope, I want to see how this goes and see if it naturally fixes the problem before we start going in and making changes. Um, I see there's a lot of chat from the other things, but I haven't seen any questions. So, um, Ron, were there any questions I missed there? Oh, okay, great. Yes, YouTube and Discord and every audience, liking these things helps us. You guys are the main way that we'll be able to attract new players and do marketing. So appreciate any help that you can provide there. So question from the silence: what are the team's thoughts on having the SBS distribution to keep distributing it longer? Um, I do think there are a lot of opportunities to reduce the SBS distribution in different areas. I think there's opportunities to reduce it for liquidity rewards. I think we can possibly get rid of it for land once Phase 2.0 launches, and there's lots of other cool stuff than SPS. I don't know about just having it across the board. We can see again with these new like ranked reward changes. Maybe there'll be an opportunity to give out less there. But I guess that my preference is to kind of keep it high for the ranked battles. But yeah, so that's my thoughts. I think I would prefer not to just like have it across the board, but maybe look at each individual reward pool and see if it's necessary or like beneficial for the DAO. And I think certain places aren't. And you know maybe we can look for some proposals to change some of that. Um, Question from Lewis88 back in Discord. First, good job with the reward point system and rank changes. Can't wait to test it. Thank you, Lewis. We're looking forward to it as well. The question: the reward points are soul bound, avoiding bot farms bringing their points to a main account. Yeah, 100% soul bound. Um, so bot farms and purposely we want to make sure that like the things you buy with reward points are also soul bound. So we want to avoid a situation where bots can just take their soul bound reward points and then just go buy things that they can then go throw into one account and sell. So it's all going to be, and not necessarily all soul bound, but like soul bound or cosmetics, or we've talked about potentially like really very expensive titles and things like that. But you'll need like a single account to save up enough reward points to buy those things, and everything else will be things that will also be soul bound, like the soul bound reward cards, but that will help that account that bought them to move up and earn more. Um, Question from Rye Crypto: when the ranked system changes will happen? Well, the big list of changes to the ranked system are scheduled to go out at the end of the month. Uh, Investi, uh,
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, 29th after the end of the season, around our usual update time for all of the ranked battle rework changes. The reward changes and stuff will be sometime after that.
Perfect. And that does not include the reward point store stuff. So that will be later at a to be announced date. Uh, Questions, multiple questions, as always, from Byzantinist. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Ron's reminding me. Let's cut off the questions now so I can try to get to them all in the next 15 minutes. Thank you, Ron. Um, So, Byzantinus question number one: will Double Coconut do a town hall or QA event? I don't know. I am going to suggest that they probably set up their own Discord server for the game, and do you know events or whatever they think is best to keep the community engaged and apprised of what's going on. Question two: will Soulkeep incorporate staking of Splinterlands cards that was in the original concept but hadn't been implemented in the various test versions? Uh, I don't know. That's something we, when we were building this thing, wanted to do, but had not yet like come up with a good way or built out a way to do it. So that's ultimately up to them. Um, if that's something they feel is worthwhile. Um, and if it's them feeling it's worthwhile is also about like what the players, the people that spent money buying the packs and are going to be playing the game want. So I guess technically as the owner, just like us as the owner of Splinterlands, we can do whatever we want, but it wouldn't make sense to do things that are negative for the community. So uh, that's that can be an open discussion. Will Double Coconut communicate with the DAO community since the DAO is providing the SPS? And will Double Coconut request DAO funds for various initiatives? Again, I don't know. I would uh, think that would be a good idea for them to communicate with the DAO. Um, I don't expect that they will be requesting DAO funds. As far as I know, they have the capital they need to do this, but they certainly, I mean, anyone technically can request DAO funds for anything. So we'll see. And is Double Coconut still doing mobile work for Splinterlands or any other projects on behalf of Splinterlands? No, they're not. It's a good thing I actually thought I would mention earlier and forgot about when Investy was talking about the tech modernization. For those of you who might not know, the tech modernization is not just like for us to make it easier to build things, although it does do that. The goal of the tech modernization is to make it so that the existing site, the desktop site, also just works on mobile without any other changes or work. Right now, our mobile app is a completely separate project, and everything has to be rebuilt separately for desktop and mobile. And by updating everything on the desktop site to what we're calling the VNext or tech modernization, it will just make it just also work on mobile without really much extra work. So whenever we just add new features in the future, once this is all done, it will just work on mobile and desktop, and that's a much better way to do it. And that's a big part of our player experience project for this year is finishing the complete upgrade of everything to the tech modernization, so that we just naturally have a good working mobile app that includes everything we're doing when we do it, and isn't constantly behind on features. But currently Double Coconut is not working on any of that. We don't really have the extra funds to be paying them to do that. So instead, we're working on finishing what we've already started and just making our existing site work on mobile as well. Oh, great. Okay. Jump into YouTube real quick. You were going to look at the cost for transferring grain to your own plots, regardless of what region you're in. A lot of tree plots are now available, but a lot of players are not buying. Yeah, that's something I haven't really gotten to spend much time on since we last talked about it, but I do think would probably be good for the ecosystem if there was a way to freely or more cheaply transfer grain across regions as long as it's to your own account. So that's a still TBD item. Um, and that's one of the things, looking for ideas and thoughts and opinions from, landowners about what they think about that. So sorry, I don't have more of an update. Um, Question from OAA: is there any expectation with regard to timing on the grain LPing in the game? We're not giving any dates, but as far as I know, it's pretty close to being done and starting the testing process. So shouldn't be too far out. I don't think. Investi, if you feel differently, let us know. Um, Question from Gathering the Magic: thoughts on how the rental market will be affected by the new ranked reward changes? There aren't many higher level cards available for rent sale currently. Do you expect the rental market to adjust to players needing higher level cards and not one BCX cards? Yeah, I mean that's one of my hopes, right? That's one of the things that like indicates to me that the system is kind of broken in a lot of ways right now. Uh, we have the majority of players in like bronze or silver. They just literally can't use higher level cards. So now all of a sudden, you know, hey, even though I'm in bronze or silver or gold, I could use a max level card or a higher level card. And so if there's like one particular card that like I keep getting beaten by, or that like, would get a better ability if it levels up, like you can go on the market and buy it or rent it. And yeah, so my hope is that will help the rental market. for higher level cards. And then, even though you didn't ask, like my hope is that the one click scent rental thing will really help the market for renting lower level cards. And it's not just all level one cards. It'll be like, might be level three commons or whatever as part of that like set that gets rented by new players. We want to highlight the fact to new players that cards level up. So, yeah, so between both of those things, my hope is that rental and sale market will pick up significantly for higher level cards. Another question from Biz. What ongoing efforts are there, if any, to identify and ban potential bot or battle helper use in tournament brawls, which would be in violation of the terms of service? I don't know, Bessie, do you have any comments on what we're doing there?
There are ongoing efforts, which we don't talk about publicly because that would tell people how to get around them.
There you go. Question from Intrepid Surfer. Contractually speaking, do current Soul Keep packs become formally alpha packs? I don't know what that means as becoming alpha packs.
If Double Coconut releases more Soul Keep packs, is there any advantage for the people that bought them before? Are they considered alpha?
Okay. I mean, well, that's up to Double Coconut.
Double
I mean,
Coconut?
there's no contractual stuff about all these specific things. I mean, it's their game, so they're going to decide what they do, what they sell, how it works, and everything. But again, like, um, everyone who bought Soul Keep packs and put money into this, like they're the players for the game. It's, I I know Double Coconut and them quite well. Like I don't see them just doing random stuff that everyone doesn't like. So, but there's nothing contractually that says what they may not do. Just like there wasn't with Splinterlands, what they need to do with the packs. Question: When Land 2.0 white paper? Yeah, I was waiting for that one. I apologize. I got to get to it. And anyone on the team that's listening, only people on the team can feel free to bug me about that to make sure it gets done. I kind of work as on a squeaky wheel gets the grease type of system. Yeah, I get things pinging me about high priority things that need to be done on a regular basis, and I kind of bounce around um, to them. And if kind of no one is bugging me about something, I often forget about it a lot. And I apologize, but team members feel free to make sure that gets done hopefully by the next town hall. Um, Question from RuneGuard Bitcoin Sig. Would the team consider going down the player made route for systems like potions and extra daily games using land instead of just creating these things from nothing infinitely? For example, using a wagon type of system to make a legendary potion instead of just making them from nothing. Um, so I guess saying you always need to like use some type of existing assets to make new assets is my understanding. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm understanding it right, but um, I guess so. I mean, uh, potions is the only thing you gave as an example, but like most things in the game, like you need to do other things to get them other than like potions and buying card packs.
And as a company, we do need to sell some things to, have income, unless the DAO's got a fun stuff.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we are trying to move to a mechanism of the DAO funding things, or we could sell things like wagons that, if that in the example that was used here to create those other things, like we sold land in order, and then land produces all these other things. So I guess if you have more specific examples, I can comment on them, but it's hard to. I don't really. We haven't thought about changing the potion system at least so far. Um, Question roadmap 2024. I guess same answer as as the land 2.0 white paper. Other than it's going to be pretty much exactly what we just talked about. So if you've been listening to this call, there's not going to be anything in the roadmap that is different than what I just said. Um, Another question. Am I missing some from YouTube here? No, I mean, are there questions on YouTube that I'm missing? Or oh yeah, sorry. Were they after we ended things? All right. Well, let me try to get to the ones on Discord then before we ended things, and if we have extra time, I'll jump to those. I could also stay on a few minutes longer. Question from Gathering the Magic: thoughts on adjusting the in-game voucher value from 200 DEC to the current market price? Meaning, if the market value of vouchers increased, then eventually the in-game value of vouchers would move up as well. This would remove the 200 DC cap on voucher price and make it the floor price. Would help the voucher price move up and reward those that hold them. Um, I mean, I don't think it would help the voucher price move up if we accepted them for less in the game. So my thoughts are that vouchers are supposed to be this, like, reward system for people that stake SPS, um, and they are currently very rewarding. My expectation is that we add when there's more and more demand over time, as we add more and more things, that at some point vouchers will become very scarce, and they'll just be at the 200 DEC. At that point, it would keep the price there, but you know that was what I intended, right? Rather than have them be something that just like um, is a variable pricing mechanism, and I see that being a little ways out. So in the meantime, it's much more beneficial to vouchers and to SPS token holders by doing it this way, um, than market pricing. Question from False. Can you guys start doing some funny commercials like Raid does? I would love to see Grund smashing a couple of pesky scavos. Uh, that sounds fantastic. I don't plan to spend time or money on it, but if any of our very talented community members want to do something like that, we would be happy to promote it, and laugh at it with you. Question from Gang: couldn't we come up with better, longer term solutions for vouchers, such as exchanging them for points in the reward shop or creating their own reward shop as opposed to a one time event that is funded by the DAO? Um, yeah, well, I mean, this one event is not like the only thing for vouchers. I mean, vouchers are going to be like a discount or like reward thing for pretty much everything that happens in the game. So like we've had them used for like every promo event, every promo card we do. They're going to be heavily used on land. They're used for buying packs. I mean, the saying that we don't have a long-term solution, that's the long-term solution for vouchers, is literally the same thing we said when we started it, was that they can be used to get discounts on literally everything. The issue has been that the amount of vouchers required for the discounts and things is much, much lower, and for the amount of demand there is for those things is much, much lower than the voucher print rate. So there's a lot of excess vouchers currently. But as we add more things that require more vouchers and we get more people in and there's more demand, that should go away over time. So that's the long-term solution for vouchers.
And one thing to
Um,
add to that, as part of the update at the end of the month, we're actually going to be including accepting vouchers for discounts on energy, as well as reworking the energy cost system. But that will hopefully see some more voucher use.
yeah. So just everywhere we can throw in that you get something cheaper for vouchers, we're going to do that. That's what vouchers are for. If you stake SPS, you get stuff cheaper or you get access to things. Question from Markor: SPS staked on player is also going live with new player experience update that is going live in end of Feb. No, I don't know if there was a misunderstanding or miscommunication that there's going to be no changes to SPS staking for rewards as part of these changes. Um, Question from Clayboyne: do you know if there's any interest from David, I assume that's David from Double Coconut, to work with the DAO for Soul Keep to do any sort of revenue share funding model similar to Rebellion? I don't know, but Clay, reach out to him or let me know if you need me to introduce you guys. I think that would be great, and he would probably be very open to that. Question from Roland Eden. Hope we're getting to the end of the questions here. Oh, there we go. Okay. After the implementation of the new ranked battle mechanism, is it possible to add rebellion card packs to the reward chests? It can't just be whips. I think it also needs candies. Um, I mean, it's possible. Well, so we're going to be getting rid of reward chests, and we're going to have this new reward shop. So it would obviously be possible to add reward rebellion card packs to the new reward point shop. Um, I still am against doing that. As I mentioned earlier, my preference is that the reward point shop would be only for things that are like soul bound. So again, we don't. It's not exploitable by having bot armies that all get like reward points, and then they can go just trade them for something that they can then sell on the market, and that would lead to a lot of selling pressure and just like cheap rebellion packs bringing down the price. So my preference would be to not do that. If the community thinks otherwise, we can entertain it. Um, Looking for the next question here. Here we go. Jeff opens cards. How will rewards rework affect tournament entry, as is a higher entry cost for those in high leagues if trying to join a lower league tournament? Initially, there's going to be no change. So again, we're going to put this into effect, and the tournaments are not planned to change at all as a result of this. I know there's other plans for tournament reworks that Clay has been working on with the community. Um, and again, let's see how it shakes out. I don't think anyone here can accurately predict how this is all going to shake out. So we're going to see how it works, and then if the community uh, feels that there should be changes to tournaments, I'm sure Clay would love to do 17 more proposals and figure that out. Um,
Just to clarify, leagues themselves aren't going away. You will still advance into a league based on your rating, which will affect your tournament restrictions. So it's basically going to be a rating basis instead
yeah, and
of
you
a
won't be able to
league
stay
based.
in a lower league to have advantages in tournaments.
Yeah. I should also mention that the card level caps or the seminar level caps will remain for tournaments. We are only changing that for ranked play.
Cool. Okay. Well, we've kind of run out of time, and we've also hit the end of the questions. So I want to say thank you again to everyone for being here and for listening and for participating. Obviously, it goes without saying we have a ton of stuff going on, and in my opinion, it's super exciting stuff for the player experience in the game and for the long term, you know, outlook of everything. I think we're going to have a much, much, much better product from every perspective in 12 months from now than this time next year. So I'm looking forward to that, and the team's doing a fantastic job of making it happen. Um, and I'm gonna keep listening to feedback and ideas, and we'll make some updates to that proposal while it's in the pre-proposal phase. And but for everyone, we encourage to look at that and vote however you want, and there will be no repercussions or anything if for voting against it. We want everyone to be encouraged to use their stake to vote how they really feel, and not be coerced by the team or other players in any way. We want to get the community's real feelings on these things. That's how we're going to make the best products. And as a team, we are committed to trying to, you know, put out the best products or put out the best proposals for the long term value of the DAO and the players and the assets. So thanks everyone, and we will talk to you again in 2 weeks.
This is a story, the one where we will not accept it.